What's going on? This is your boy Tone Duncan. Happy Tuesday. You're in tune with the Truth Seekrz radio show. We're coming over here from IntellectualRadio.com. We're an iHeart station. Want to say thank you so much for checking me out. I'm on Instagram. I'm over here chilling on IG with Facebook, YouTube. We're live on the IntellectualRadio.com page. Want to say what's up to Shannon, my girl in the house. Nisi, what's up, girl? Listen, thank you so very much for checking this out. For those of you on IG, YouTube, I can't see you as well, but I am glad you are hanging out. Listen, every Tuesday, it's my great pleasure. I mean, I am excited. Step in the house to talk to you guys about the things that are important to you. More importantly, the things that we all think about, but rarely have an opportunity to discuss. Why? Because oftentimes you have to be in the right company. I mean, you have to be around the right people, because it is far too often, and I say this wholeheartedly, it's far too often you have to dummy down your intellect, because too many of the people that we so hang with don't really reach or strive for the same intellectual capacities that we do. Sometimes they want to see the shallow side while you're looking to see what the deep is. You want to know the reason why they want to know how this affects me specifically for right now. So for you, Tiff, Regina, what's good? For those of you who come and kick it with me every Tuesday, I say thank you. I hope what I talk about is inspiring, but more importantly, I hope that you throw your insider information in too. So listen, I say this like all the time: like, comment, share, get involved in the conversation. I would love to hear what you have to say. More specifically, so would everybody else. Listen, I did something for the first time on on Sunday, something that I had been wanting to do for so long, but I hadn't done. All right, I have to be honest with you. I knew that it was something that I wanted to do, but I hadn't quite mustered the strength to do. And that is, I am a man of faith, y'all. 100% man of faith. And that means that wherever I go, my spirituality goes with me. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a deep desire to make sure that I am on the right side of the divine at all times. But what that did for me was it prompted me to really want to be more serious about that walk. First, let me pause what I'm saying. Special shout out to my beautiful wife. What's up, Shay in the house? Love you, sweetie. I wanted to be a servant of God. So after talking to my parents and them encouraging me, because, you know, both of them are ministers as well, I moved on and I got into this ministry thing. And when I went into theology school and I started to really study what I would be ministering to people, I realized that my conviction for God was not my conviction for religion. I realized at that very moment that it wasn't religion that scratched the deep itch that I had. It was my desire to talk and walk with God. And what it inspired me was how Jesus talked and walked with God. It inspired me how Moses talked and walked with God. It admired me. I could not help but fall in love with how God built a one-on-one relationship with all those who seek him. So for that reason, y'all, I did this show on Sunday, and that show was to encourage those of you who wanted to share your faith in God and your testimony on the seriousness of God in your life would not have to do so in a religious confine. So I hope that y'all check me out. That's Sundays at 1 o'clock. It's called the Sunday Conversation. Right here. Check me out the same way you are. If you're checking me out on Facebook, I'll be there. If you're checking me out on IG, I'm there. YouTube, any which way you want, social media, hear my voice. I'm there with y'all. So thank you so very much for those who checked it out and know that we'll be adding more to it. This is a talk show. That means that you will have an opportunity to talk too. If you so choose, I'd like you to get your comments in so that we can truly begin. I know that a lot of you have been dealing with the realities that are. The realities are that we are trying to get better jobs and we are trying to get better educational opportunities. Ed Lover in the house. Listen, what we talk about here is separating truths from false, facts from fiction, and getting an opportunity to really sit down and discuss the nitty-gritty of it. How many of you guys have had an opportunity to hear about the Moynier report? So Moynier, you can't hear me. Hold on, wait, what? It better be your phone. Let me see something. Raise it up. How many of y'all can hear me? Hey, shout out if you can hear me. I think it might be my wife's phone. I got to go check now. Y'all know how that is. She done told me. All right, look, it's 899. Give me a heart if you can hear me. Ruth, what's going on? If anybody can hear me, give me a heart. Give me a heart. Let me know you can hear me, y'all. So listen, here's the situation. I got to tell you the truth. There was a report that came out. Thank you, y'all. I appreciate the love. There was a report that came out in the 60s. And really what was happening was there had long been black poverty, right? Everybody knows that black poverty was always the way that it was. All right. And so what happened was right after the civil rights movement, poverty seemed to increase even though the jobs were starting to become more available. And what they found out is that the black family was at almost 24%. 24% of the children were growing up in non-married homes, okay? Which meant that the children were growing up most of the time with just one parent at home and nobody to offer that secondary finance. How many of y'all know how hard it is for one person to feed a family and raise it? How many of you guys know it's even harder when you're undereducated? When you're undereducated, that means you are inevitably underemployed. And so they saw this issue in the black community, this guy Moynihan, and he said, look, it's a real issue. And I'm not blaming them. I think ultimately the real problem is that there's not enough opportunities to encourage and support the black family. It's something that's already really fragmented because of their very tumultuous past. So I talk about this today because I want to talk to y'all. I want to talk to y'all about what your opinion is on the black family today. I want to know what your thoughts are on why we are having such a hard time with the black family. I'm going to point out to you that I think two extremely powerful problems are: one, mass incarceration of African Americans, and two, there is absolutely no equality between the economics of the male and the economics of the black female in this country. I'll say that again. I'll say that the women have a disproportionately higher education rate and a higher income. And there are disproportionately, and not for bad reason, there are disproportionately much more programs to help accelerate the academics and the economics of the black woman. And it makes a lot of black men feel that they have always been targeted to be the pariah of this country. I want you to understand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that for so many who look at the black family, they think that the reason why the African American family is struggling is because it is always powered by an underfinanced single mother. And they say now it's upward around 75%. Now, I know the reality is that no situation is the same. I understand that there's some really good women who have really gotten hold of some really bad men. I know that there's some really good women and really good men that are separated because of murder. There's some really good men that made some poor decisions that are sitting in jail. Some didn't make any bad decision. They still sitting in jail. And so I understand that when you look and see just exactly what the black woman has to choose from, you can quickly see there's a reason why African American women are the least married women in the civilized world. Yeah, I said that, y'all. I said that African American women, when compared to all other women in the industrialized, civilized world, black women are the least married in all of them. I also want you to know that blacks in America have the highest single family rate of all blacks all over the world. I want you to understand that, because some people have said, well, you know, marriage is a white thing. Marriage is a white thing. Black people don't get married. That's Eurocentric. Now, don't get me wrong. Eurocentrism is real in this country. So many of the things that we consider right are just white, and we get that. But we can't say that marriage or the institution of covenant is white. We have to say that covenant agreements between mother and father of a child are found way before there was even Europeans. So it's important that we talk about this today. My question to you, and I hope that you like, comment, share, is why is it so hard for us to be married? I've heard people say this, y'all, and I'm going to say it real quick. I've heard people say that the reason why is because the black woman has a superiority complex and will not allow the black man to be a man. I've heard that, y'all. And to a lot of black men, I understand where the problem is. You guys, the problem is that in and of itself is Eurocentric. See, the black woman has never had an inferior position in the family. And the idea of what masculinity is in this country is extremely Eurocentric. Men did not have to rule their house to be a man because they understood that the woman of the house basically overseen the entire operation. So let me say this really quick so that we get this right, because I want you to understand. Tiff, what's going on? What's going on? Carmen in the house. Poochie, what's good? Listen, this is what I'm saying to you because I want you to hear me on this. What I'm saying to you in a nutshell is that one of the primary issues that I see in the black family is that it's not the black woman does not know her place. It's that the black man has forgotten her place. And because of that, it's hard for us to cohabitate in a Eurocentric paradigm. So I always tell people, go back and remember the greatest black civilization that we knew of before the colonial mass invasion of the continent of Africa, which was the Zulu nation. So a lot of you have to understand this, and I hope you do. See, the Zulu nation had one of the most powerful militaries in all of Africa, but it was the women of the Zulu nation that had their king killed. And not in some sabotage, it was a meeting that declared he had to die. See, it's not unheard of in Africa that the black woman has power. It is truly a Eurocentric thing that up until the civil rights movement, women did not have a right to vote. And if you look and see countries in the sub-Saharan Africa where there was no Eurocentric influence as to how things were governed, you'll see that this stays the same. So I ask you guys, what is the issue that you see today? Because what I see is that a lot of women realize that there is true opportunity in education. But I don't necessarily know if our women see the true obstacles that are in place for the men. See, I've noticed that black men, for some reason, have completely felt ostracized from the black community. As a child, I'd walk down the street in my communities and I would notice something. I would notice that there were not as many black respectable men. What I mean is that when I looked through the businesses in the black communities, I noticed that most the businesses were not owned by black men. And because of that, I noticed that most of the black men in our communities took inferior employee positions. And because of that, I know that a lot of young black men like myself really searched hard to find black role models that what we consider to be locally obtainable. Some of them were not legal. Some of them were athletes. Some of them were ministers. Some of them were hustlers. What we didn't see was a large constituency of black men that were properly educated and cared about the children and came in and just became just influencers in the black community. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about because you looked and you saw the same thing. You saw that most of the black men that held good jobs usually had inferior jobs. They worked at, companies as a janitor or as a lineman in a factory. But they didn't have prestigious jobs. They weren't managers. They weren't supervisors. They were bottom line employees. Most of the black men in our communities, if they had a job, it wasn't a job they celebrated. So often, when it came to finding role models, so many of us, we struggled. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. What's going on to my IG family? Listen, Cody. Listen, all y'all, what's going on? Peace, peace, peace. I'm loving to see y'all. Hey, don't forget, share this. Let people know that we're talking about some real stuff here. Thank you so very much. Listen, I go back to this. In 1966, when this report came out, I want you to understand that white families that had a single parent at the same time that blacks had 24%, 23.5 or what have you, was 3%. Only 3% of white America was single mothers. Do you understand that it was almost the perfect storm? That when we got the respect as fellow Americans and the enforcement of the rights that we had already had, which they termed civil rights, by the time that happened, that we had such a mass incarceration. Has anybody realized that what happened after the Jim Crow laws changed, drugs poured into our community? Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. My question is, have we recovered? Is there a problem in the black community right now? And I'm going to ask you this. Is there a problem in the black community because black men have found no connection to happiness? Is it at a point right now where post-traumatic stress disorder is at an all-time high that so many of us feel disengaged? Or is it that we just flat out not getting it done? You tell me. Is it that we're finding too many excuses too conveniently? Is it that rather than going to school like our mama's telling us, we're going to hang out with our friends, selling drugs, getting in trouble, gang banging, doing stupid stuff, and getting caught up? You know, I'll never forget when I was constantly being harassed by the police. I'll never forget the reality of feeling like it was always going to be war. But I also never forget the feeling of completely changing my life into a business mode and then being harassed by the police again. See, I knew that there would always be a misperception of blackness in America by outsiders. But what I never had one desire to allow them to dictate who I was. How many of you feel like right now the problem isn't them, it's us? How many of you feel like for too long we've been buying the excuse that it's somebody else's problem? Talk to me. I know y'all checking this out and I appreciate that. See, because one of y'all just said just now, and I know this to be the fact, one of y'all just said to me, you said, and I'm reading right here, you said that far too long black men have mistreated women, and now women are able to do for themselves, and they don't have to put up with it no more. Hey, listen to me. I'm not going to argue with that statement. I'm not going to argue with that at all, because one thing that I understand is that violence begets violence. But as we study more, we understand that there is so much tragedy, so much pain in our communities, you know, that we have to honestly look at it and say to ourselves, maybe what we really need is healing before relationships. Maybe what we really need to do is create a better self before we create a better family. You know, one of the things that I noticed about me, and I was very fortunate, my wife and I, we endured tough times and we made it. We're 23 years in a marriage, and my prayer to the Most High is that we will stay married until we hanging out as buddies in the divine. What my question is, and I hope y'all hear me on this, my question is bottom line. Why are our families so split? Why do we, blacks in America, why are blacks in America leading the world in single parent homes? Leading the entire world. So if you took the entire continent of Africa, you would have to say that there are more single parents in the black community here than in any country in their continent. Renee, what's going on? Daniel, what's good? Dewan, what's up? Alameen in the house, what's good, good brother? It's sad, it breaks my heart. I love marriage. I love to see people happy. Some of y'all ain't ready for marriage, and it's okay, because that doesn't mean you won't get married. It just means that there's so much pain that you still got to work out. then it's better to work on you before you work on us. You see? So sometimes because our hormones get the best of us, we jump into a relationship and we haven't gotten there yet. See, there's so much trauma that we just reenacted to the next person. Cuzzo, what's good? Hey, listen, y'all got a point, and I want to hear it. Talk to me. Thank you very much for your thoughts on that. Yeah, see, so many times we bring baggage into a relationship. Man, it hurts my heart because people really love each other. They truly do. But communication and love have nothing to do with each other. Communication and love are absolutely, completely independent. You can love the heck out of somebody, but you don't know how to communicate. You feel me? You don't know how to work through strategies of respecting another person's opinion. Love does not mean that you will always see very important things the same way. And love doesn't mean that you're willing to accept the same limitations as the person you with. See, what a lot of people realize is that they get married and then they grow up. But that's because we come from such a destroyed background. We need to start to appreciate growing up. Some of us, our harshest moments was in our childhood. We can't wait to disconnect and be the man, be the woman, be the one in charge. But we jump into this thing so ill prepared. And by the time we look up, we got 3 kids, no promotion, and jobs that don't look very promising. See, what people don't understand is that right now, today, the average person does not make the same amount of money as the benefits of welfare. I'm going to say that again because some of y'all don't hear me. The average recipient, and we're talking blacks right now, of welfare earns the entitlements of somebody who is making somewhere around $58,000 a year. Now, that doesn't mean that they get $58,000 a year. It means in order for somebody to have those kind of resources that they do, and I never said they don't deserve them. What I said is in order for you to have those type of resources, you'd have to be creating somewhere around $58,000 a year. Okay, well, at least that's what the census data says, because people who have discretionary amounts similar to that have that much money a year. Now, what man can compare to that? So when a man is trying to be the man of the house, most women realize you don't have the capacity to provide the way the government can. And I'll be honest, the government has no interest in building the black man. Not the way it's currently set up. And I blame a lot of this to politics. And that's why I don't like politicians, because most politicians won't tell you the most powerful strength that the Democratic Party has is that they flat out do not support the connection between the man and the woman. Because if you connect the man and the woman, they no longer need welfare reform. They need job reform. And right now, too many are getting over on the welfare side and abandoning the parental side. See, this is something that I have to scream out. Renee says, yes, I agree. My husband and I took our time, 10 years. We both had to clean up. We've been together for 15 years. And that's right. Communication is the key. Yes, I did. And I appreciate him for his patience. See, that's a beautiful thing. Mary, what's going on? Auntie in the house. Listen, this is the issue, y'all. And I'm going to tell y'all this. It's important to know. It's important to be honest with it. A lot of us are looking for right now, not right. We don't want Mr. and Mrs. Right. We want Mr. and Mrs. Right now. And so many of us are living the belief that somehow we're supposed to step out 21 and rich. We don't understand that struggle isn't always associated with poverty and depression. Some of us, we've been through so much struggle that we don't realize that even the good guys got to struggle. So we think that any struggle is racist and oppression. We don't understand that struggling through college is not racial oppression. It's the American dream that one day I'll never have to do this again because I'll have the right to a better paying job. Now, what I do think a real problem is in the Black community is that too often, too many times, we don't understand the amount of shame that we place on ourselves and on other people. And when I say shame, I want to talk to you guys about a clinical definition, because when I looked at the regular dictionary, it looked like the dictionary gave an informal term, but the medical definition of shame is a particular amount of blame you put on an individual as an individual. See, there's a word that is oftentimes used that we think means shame, but it's actually blame. See, you can blame a person for their action, and they can be guilty of an action. So what happens is ultimately we put shame on people. See, we convict the individual instead of the act. So many of us are living in shame. We live in shame, and this is the reason why it's so hard for us to connect with other people, because we deeply believe that it's the individual and not the action. So many of us deeply believe that we are failures and not just people who have dealt with failure. That's why so many of my shows have dealt with changing your belief system, removing the belief that it's you and not just what you're going through. See, some of you see a lot of people who you really thought were nice, outgoing, had stuff really, really sharp in their life, but then you find out that they deeply are victims of negative belief systems. And we see this in our community. And we need to understand that it's our responsibility to see what it is that's really plaguing the Black community. We create policies to offer more jobs and to create better education. But the real healing in the Black community comes from you, comes from what you got to do. And I ask you, and I want you to think about this. If you truly want to see a change in the Black community, what are we doing to influence? See, in social media today, when they want to talk about moving a new product, when they want to talk about being somebody big, they call those influencers. So if I want to open up a nice little restaurant, what I'll do is I'll get all the influencers, right? So they got influencers who post on social media, and I'll invite them all in for a tasting, you know? I'll be like, hey, you guys, I'm social mediaing them. Hey, why don't you come by? Because these guys are really influential. They'll get on social media. They'll tell everybody how awesome your product is. And then boom, all of a sudden you become the hype. People start coming in. These are influencers. See, they're outside people that find benefit in discussing you. But see, we're inside people, but we don't influence our own people. What this means is we're not showing up to our own events and giving young Black people somebody to see, somebody to realize that I can do what this person's doing. It doesn't look like you have to be super special to do it. Because remember, a lot of these kids, when they try to see who, and I want you to hear me on this, when they try to see who they can be like when they grow up, they're trying to see it with the belief systems that have paralyzed a very underprivileged community. See, these belief systems force people, the most of our children, to say, I know I will never be great, but at least show me what good looks like. We have no representations of good amongst the Black men. And we need to have more men in our community. More women need to go on dates in the Black community. I don't care what that means. Take your man with you. Let him see you holding hands. Somebody hear me. Somebody got a like button up for that one. I appreciate it. But the reality is you have to understand this. You can only replicate what you see. See, we're pack animals. We're not solitary. We're not solitary, which means that we're group thinkers. We're group thinkers, y'all. I want you to listen to me on this. It's our responsibility to change the narrative. We can no longer blame other people for the various atrocities in our own communities, because if you're willing to fight them for what they do, then you're willing to fight for what you should be doing. See, and that happens in the house. See, I believe you clean your own yard, and that makes a better neighborhood. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. You stop going around looking for other people to care. You stop going around looking for other people to fix your problem. And when I say your problem, I mean our communities. Our communities. Listen, listen. I know all about redlining. We'll talk about that 2 seconds for y'all who don't know what redlining is. That is when they started to give all these unbelievable housing opportunities to white America and restricted blacks to an area that they didn't even want to be in. So now we have to call that our home. So a lot of people are mad. It's like being put in a foster home, being put in a place that wasn't yours, and you want out. Should never have been this congested anyways. But listen, leave. Go where you want to go. Just don't disappear. Come back. Listen, I had to move, y'all. And I'm not apologetic. Listen, I'm not apologetic because I moved for 2 reasons. A, I didn't want to kill somebody or be killed. And B, I didn't want my kids to have to deal with that inferior education, because by the time they get that right, my kids would have been suffering the same disorders as every other kid that does good in high school but finds out they're academically incapable of competing with the rest of America. I don't care how many A's you got in school. And you know what's worse is that when you do get good grades in school, they push you into some of the most elite programs. And in those elite programs, you really get a chance to find out how terrible your academics was. And you start to deal with academic depression. You get some of the brightest minds in Black America. They go into these schools, they drop out, never to achieve again. See, nobody talks about those people. Talk about the few, the fearless that actually do persevere. The great leaders in our community that find the inner fortitude to fight at the highest level. I have the greatest respect for them, but I don't condemn everybody else for failure. See, what I will say, though, is that right now, today, we have a responsibility and obligation, and some of us a deep desire to get back into our communities, to start to wonder more aloud and less quietly. Start to ask questions on Facebook like, hey, who's doing something in the hood this week? Love to go. I got 5 hours. See, I go up and down the line. I don't see that kind of stuff. And some of my most successful, y'all ready. You want it. You believe in it. But you're waiting for somebody else to do it. See, we grew up at a time where everybody was talking about the last great leaders. So everybody's coalescing around who they think the next great leader is. If you believe it was Obama, he's gone. Okay, not a lot happened for Black folk. And no problem with Obama. For you who love him, I just wish that we could have had more to celebrate. There could have been more trade schools in affected African-American communities. There could have been a grant so that we get more competitive opportunities so that teachers of the higher ilk could come into our communities and start to teach with the master degrees that are available instead of the gift certificates that they get on the internet. And I'm not hating. I'm just stating the facts. So what I'm going to tell you is bottom line. Black families, we suffer from something called a lack of economics. And some of you believe that you can go the long route, get you a job, and then go work for somebody. But I'm going to tell you right now, that's not the way that American economics work. See, in this country with all groups, there was an investment by the federal government to enact an opportunity so that they could be economically competitive. Every group. I want to talk to y'all because, see, when it's our turn, they call it reparations. When it's anybody else's turn, it's economic motivation. See, don't let anybody fool you, because right now I'm going to tell you this. See, I'm an American because if a bomb was to drop in Chicago, it wouldn't just kill those who enjoyed a quality life in America. See, because I have family members who died to achieve the opportunities that my children have, I have a right to the plight of America. And I demand respect as an American. But the first place I hope to achieve that respect is amongst my own family, in my own communities, and amongst the children who need to see a powerful man. We need our powerful men in America, and most specifically, we need them now. So I say to the women in our community that have not found a man to your liking, I hope that you are spending this time wisely. I hope you're getting the therapy that you need because you have been through a lot. I don't care what you've been through a lot. Right now, we're finding out that African American women are some of the most sexually abused, assaulted, mistreated. Anytime you see a black woman smile, it must mean she wants sex. It breaks my heart. It destroys me deeply. And it destroys me that so many black women have misconstrued their innate power for feminism. Let me explain something about feminism. And some of you may not like me about this, but I'm going to tell you I don't see it any more different than misogyny. I think anytime that you pin one particular group against another group, you're doing something that's destructive to the child. See, the thing is that there should be no feminism, but unfortunately, white people mistreated white women. And I say this because white women raised white men. And then these white men disincluded them in all conversation, no rights. When you find out that's not African. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of Western influence. There's a lot of Eurocentric influence through religion and the paternity of religion. But that's not the case in sub-Saharan Africa, where the black woman is a powerful person, a decision maker in her village, the beloved of her mother. Some of us have to go back and understand black women have no need to be feminist, and white women have no need to be feminist. You are equal. You're not better, and you're definitely not worse. So once we can get past all this, I'm somebody too, we can get into the more true thing is we are somebody. See, because I'm going to tell y'all something that really stays in my mind, and you know what I'm talking about. Some of y'all stood up with Colin Kaepernick and you got mad at the police for the amount of harassment. Listen, I got 21 counts of aggravated battery against the police that I had to deal with, that I had to win, that I had to go back and sue, and I had to get screwed by my lawyer and didn't even get the money for the abuse that I went through, didn't even get the opportunity to go back to school because by the time I got through with all this, I had a child. And the difference between being a woman and a child and a man and a child is there's no opportunities for me to go to school. None. Because if I go to school, then all of a sudden now I'm going to be on a list. You know what that list is, right? Deadbeat dads, something I could never be because my father wasn't one to me. And if he was one to me, I sure the heck wouldn't want to repeat it. Some of y'all know what it's like to be real out here. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about when you look into a woman's face and can tell that she knows she got a better opportunity with Uncle Sam. When she look at you and your suspect background and know that you ain't got half of nothing going for yourself, she say, man, listen, homie, it was good, but now I'm gone. You know why? Because I got rules and I got regulations, and one of them is I can't be grown and poor, and you don't have a guarantee. A lot of us have left the building because we don't trust our homes, and we don't trust our homemakers. See, but when you're utilizing abortions for birth control, how many of y'all realize that 1 out of 5, watch this, some of y'all it's going to hurt your heart. 1 out of 5 pregnancies end in abortion in America. 50% of those who abort in this country say that the reason, this is over 50%, I'll just say 50 to cover it. The reason they abort is because they didn't want the child. Okay? Now, only a very small percentage of academic women have children that before they're married. That's women who have graduated from academia. But we all know that one of the main reasons is because it's much more socially acceptable for women to just have a discreet abortion and wait until the right person comes along. So we know that this is a real issue. And we also know what it's like to have a dude who much rather screw around with his next woman than be the man that he never had in his life. And that's destructive. See, because a lot of us think that it's somebody's fault when we have to understand it's everyone's fault. And every situation is different. In every situation is different. In my situation, it was different. In everyone's situation, you're going to have a person who has an agenda on both sides, right? So all I'm saying to you is that right now, our society is in a state of utter depression and trauma. And you know, like anybody knows, you may not realize this, but it's better to be in therapy than a relationship when you're sick. Feel me? So stop thinking that somehow it's somebody else's fault. You know you so sick, you got so many bad things going on in your head. You're not right to get with nobody right now. You don't even trust yourself, let alone somebody else. You're thinking, oh, let me not screw it up. Now you immediately think that person will. Or all you've ever seen is destruction. All you've ever seen is bad homes, broken marriages, and false promises. So you assume the same. See, get your sickness right. Admit to being sick. Say, man, I'm screwed up. So I'm not going to try this relationship thing because you might be the best person for me. And I messed that up and that'll be the last ride. You see, so some of us, we got to understand it's the real thing now. We're not talking games. We're talking for real. And one of the things I want you to understand is what happens is a 19-year-old having a 2-year-old ends up being a mother who cannot help her child. And now the child's out selling drugs because the only chance he ever saw, realistically, was those of the role models that actually came around the hood. Y'all feel me? See, whenever you can put the blame back on yourself, you have an amazing opportunity to change. But when you put it on somebody else, you can't change them. The problem never goes away. Some of you know that we need to fix these problems today. Hey, this your boy, Tone Duncan. Listen, every single Tuesday, it's the Truth Seekers. We talk about it, but we don't just talk about it on my side. I'm listening to the comments. We like, we comment, we share. My guy, V says, my pops and I bump heads often, but he was never a deadbeat. You know, V, I had the luxury of knowing your father. That man was a role model. He was one of the only black business owners I knew. And he had you looking super sharp. I said, man, I want to be just like this man. Have my kids going to work, going to school looking nice, driving a nice car. You don't know this, but we know this, right? That's how it goes. And this is what I want to talk to y'all about because so many of you don't realize the realities that we're dealing with. See, because we get so individual. See, we've been taught that everything should be, oh, you got to do you, babe. Well, sometimes you is not the you right now. Sometimes the you is the you that was a child that brought your childhood scars into right now, but will suffer for the rest of your life and blame everybody else. See, because I love a strong black woman and I love a black man that realizes you being strong got nothing to do with her strength. And there ain't no way in the world, y'all, one of y'all got to be weak. Man, the only thing that I wanted to make sure I had in my wife, outside of beauty, of course, was strength. I needed a woman that if things went wrong, she could carry on. Some of y'all don't want a strong woman because she may leave you. I say, well, at least she leave me. My kids will be better because I know she's shooting for the top. See, some of y'all don't know what I'm talking about. Y'all don't know what I'm talking about because, see, if you can keep them lonely, keep them low, keep them wanting, they're going to always want you. But what you don't understand is you can't please nobody who won't all the time. Somebody know what I'm talking about. the most wantful people. Every day they want. So what you do, you go and find you somebody who all they do is just want, because they can't get. And then they give somebody else, because somebody else is walking down the street all the time, looking for the wanters. And then you, I gave her everything. I gave him everything. Yeah, well, you picked the wrong one. The one that you should have been batting for, you never had the courage for, because you had so much sickness going on in your heart. You shot for low and you hit. Good for you, but you knew what was going on, because he had a track record bigger than his criminal record, and you didn't have no problem with neither one of them. You feel me? And this is where we're going in a problem with. See, it's hard for you to say, son, don't be no drug dealer, and your baby daddy a drug dealer, and the dude you're messing with a drug dealer, and the guy you think is cute a drug dealer. And everybody you watch on shows a drug dealer. You turn on the radio, and all they talking about is selling drugs, and you wonder why your kid's gone bad. But it's your choice. You got the right. Blow it all up, like Trump say. It don't matter to me. Right? That's the sickness that we have. That's the individual, I don't care, it's all about me mindset that is just corroding our communities. Now, I said something to you. Blacks have the most income right here in this country of any black country in the world. We also have the highest divorce rates of any other black country in the world. We also have the highest abortion rates of any other black country in the world. We also have the highest, you ready for this? We have the highest rental rate, non-ownership rate of any other people in the world. And you can't tell me that this is our fault, but I'm telling you right now that once you understand what's going on, it's your fault if you don't act on it. It's your calling to step to it. Some of us, we more into getting on Facebook and talking about who's screwing who. And I'm telling you right now, all that rhetoric, you're screwing yourself. We need to be more accountable for our conversation. Like I said, I'd love to see somebody step out on faith and say, who want to do a little soup kitchen with me? I'm looking for 10 black men to come down into the community. See, we do this every week. We're on 63rd and King Drive. We over at what we call the Project Hood Center. And this is just one thing. Listen, I could do more, and I hope to do more. God willing, I'll spend more of my time, but I got to feed my family too. But I do take time, and I'm just asking you, listen, it could be an hour in a month. And nobody can tell you what time you got available, but we got to jump back in. We got to do these things. And black men, you got to do it. Black women, stop leaving to go hang out with your girlfriends and do it. Go take the man with you, because the young boys need to see black men and women together. Even if y'all fighting in the car, act like you got some sense when you get around them. And then women. Now watch these shows y'all watch. Your shows are about single women who fight each other all the time. And men that have an unexplainable amount of money that is just absolutely not realistic. And you live in this life of dreaming. Whereas the reality is there's nobody watching your children. There's nobody helping them to deal with the academic issues that they're going through. And more importantly, there's nobody realizing that you only got two choices in this city. Okay? When you in the inner city, you are either in a gang or running from a gang. Did somebody hear me or did somebody not hear me? Because these are the things that are going on. This is the reason why you got to vet the man you with. Okay? Just because he buying, just because he got half on the rent, just because he driving something you like to pull up in, doesn't mean that's the right dude. It's not your life. It's your responsibility. Some of y'all, I think you should get them kids to somebody else. I'm not saying they shouldn't be your kids. I'm just saying maybe you should pick them up after they raise, because we got some problems. And a lot of these men, I remember going to a dude's house one time, and this dude got the kid talking street talk. I'm looking at this guy like, all right, man, is that your culture? I mean, how are you helping this kid get a job? Is you teaching them how to earn income in the black community? Come on. Hey, what's going on? Listen, y'all, this your boy Tone Duncan. Every Tuesday, 7 p.m., I talk about the real. I ain't got no problem with it. I used to talk more stats, y'all, but I realized, man, we just got to talk facts. All right? I post stats at the stats. But the reality is this is about a serious problem in our communities. And we too busy. I mean, when's the last time you called the radio station and said, man, your content is actually embarrassing and offensive? When the last time you called the radio station and said to them, listen, I like for my kids to listen to something intelligent when they're in the car with me. Feel me? So I am going to start taking calls. I'm taking calls starting next week. I'm going to hit you back too so that we can get these calls going because we talk every Tuesday, 7 p.m. We are adding the calls, y'all. I'm excited about that because some of y'all don't want to type, and I get it. Sometimes I get to type and I messed up words and misspelled. By the time I finish typing what I got to say, I done moved on to the 10th conversation. I know what you're talking about. I'm looking forward to that, y'all. So God willing, we will start taking calls. I will have to make sure they screen because some of y'all be crazy. You know, I know a lot of crazy people. And so if I say somebody tell me your Aunt Mary on the phone, I already know you crazy. So you know what I'm talking about, right? All right. This is all I'm saying. So y'all, I'm looking forward to that. I'm on IG, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook, I'm on all kind of stuff, social media blowing up. And you guys, you'll be shocked how many people are in on these conversations. And I thank you for it deeply. Man, let's blow this thing up, man. Like, comment, share. Let me know how you feel. I want to know something. If you could change one thing in the Black community that help create families, what would it be? Because right now you have a more likely chance to see two women walking down the street or two men walking down the street than you do to see a man and a woman who are happily in love. And I ain't hating. No shade. Because I don't know what makes you do that. All I know is you don't need to explain it to me because it ain't my job to police you. I'm from the Bible where you judge not. I'm not the one who's going to tell you what God said because I believe God talking to you all the time. I tell you what God said, seek ye first the kingdom. So once you talk to God, he'll tell you everything from there. Now I'm done. That's the gospel. Get that one. Check this out, y'all. This your boy. Speaking of the gospel, don't forget Sunday, 1 o'clock. I moved the religion and start talking about faith. Faith in a real God. Some of y'all want to talk. Y'all got testimonies. Y'all want to talk about how great God is in your life, but you're not religious. And that's what I do on Tuesday. I want y'all to know, again, I am a man of strong faith. Everything I say after I pray about it. I believe wholeheartedly that I walk with God and that I speak as a man who believes in the divine in all people. Like I said, I'm no fan of anybody who puts a group over another group. I've actually had to stop talking to particular Black folk because they think for some reason Black people superior to all other people. We are all people. And like I told this guy said, this is rhetoric. And I'm explaining to him why I said that. I said, where do white people come from? Okay, they came from Africa. So indirectly, there's no such thing as white people. They are just extremely light Black people. And this is what happens. See, some of y'all don't realize because you don't study. And this creates so much of our problems. Because when you don't study, you can't know. You got to go off what somebody else tell you. Like I tell anybody, I hope that I irritate you so bad on this that you go and check it for yourself. Check it for yourself. See what we're talking about. It's super real here. And also, some of you come with some really great content. So I want you to keep pumping it. Keep pumping it. That's what I'm talking about. Effective communication is everything. Because first and foremost, we don't know how to talk to ourselves. That's why I said, man, the greatest sickness in the Black community, listen to me. The greatest sickness in the Black community is that we actually think somebody else can fix us. Hey, Instagram, I'm going to sign off in about 15 seconds. Thanks, y'all. We're going to stay on this thing right here. It's 8 o'clock and I'm feeling all right, but we're going to have to end this in a couple seconds, y'all. Listen to this. Listen. I'm going to say this because some of y'all don't end. And I'm going to have to tell you. We are sick. We are sick. We were born sick and we need to get healthy. You can't get healthy from a spouse. Ain't no man coming to make your life right, to make you beautiful. No, beauty got to come from you. Right got to come from your strategies in life. And it ain't your job to raise no man. Oh, sisters, you got to put the nipple in the brother's mouth. No, don't do that. That's emasculating. See, that's emasculating to me. What you got to do is tell that brother you fine. You got a lot going for yourself, kind of, sort of, in a way. But you won't have to get it together. Here's the name of a therapist. I hope you talk to him and then give me a call. See, but some of y'all looking for right now. Right now, it's going to hurt you. Because right now, you need to be working on you. Some of y'all, while you working on your therapist, you should be working on your education. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you are single, you're in a great situation, because right now, you can work on being the best you that ever existed. Some of y'all are. Some of y'all just sitting around mad because don't nobody want you. And it's probably because, they haters and they jealous of you and they intimidated because you so powerful, you black woman strong and they black man weak. And that's true. Or you black man dominant and they can't understand your superiority and these women got it wrong. Y'all sick in their head. The truth of the matter is you aiming low and you hitting. Start being around the women that can establish themselves around you with no problem. See your accomplishments as only accomplishments. See your heart as the dictator of the kind of brain you got. I'm talking about a man who says you have to be the finest woman in this place. But there's absolutely nothing that you said that makes me feel like we have a possibility of a long-term relationship of any sort. See, but we always looking for that right now sickness. Leave y'all with that. Hey, listen, you guys. Next time I see you'll be on Sunday, God willing. And we're going to switch it up and we're going to talk about some real things. I hope you bring your faith with you and your truth about your pursuits in your finding of God and your dealings in this community. Hey, y'all, appreciate everything. Love y'all. Like, comment, share. It's your boy, Tone Duncan. Truth Seekrz, IntellectualRadio.com. We are an iHeart channel, and we are here all the time. See you next Tuesday, Sunday for the Sunday conversation.